Okay, good afternoon, one and all. Good afternoon. Welcome everybody to the second webinar on the occasion of the 105th Jayanti of the Swamiji as well as the World Physiotherapy Day. It is indeed an honor and privilege to introduce the resource person of today's session, Mr. Tagore Govindrajan, who has readily accepted our invitation to be part of this webinar series. A brief profile of Sir. Mr. Tagore has done his bachelor's degree in physiotherapy and he has completed his master's in disability rehabilitation administration, and he has more than 14 years of experience in working with children with disabilities. He has worked as a physiotherapist at the Spastic Society of Tiruchirappalli from 2006 to 2010, and he is also as a course coordinator for human resource developmental programs run by the Spastic Society till 2014. He has worked in specialized areas like physiotherapy, management of children with cerebral palsy, creating barrier-free environment, rehabilitation of persons with visual impairment, etc. And he has presented many papers both at the national and international conferences. Sir has also participated as a member in various apex level committees in dealing with rehabilitation of persons with disabilities in the state of Tamil Nadu. He is currently working as the research officer at the National Institute for Empowerment of Persons with Visual Disabilities Regional Center, Chennai, and he is going to highlight us on the topic the importance of rehabilitation of visual impairment. Now I request all the participants to raise their questions by messaging in the question and answer box provided, and they will be addressed at the end of the talk. A very warm welcome to you, Tagore sir, and now I request you to commence the session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your brief introduction. So, first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Kavita Madam for providing this opportunity. So, on behalf of the NIEPVD Regional Center, on behalf of myself, I convey my thanks for inviting me for the sessions. So, the topic of presentation is rehabilitation of persons with visual impairment. So, while I am seeing the other topics of this presentation, so most of the things related to fracture management, the other things are there. But the two topics like dealing with the Parkinson disease in the same way, this dealing with the persons with visual impairment are some of the unique topics in relation to the rehabilitations. So my focus of presentation is today is that mainly how a person with the disabilities are rehabilitated, especially person with the visual impairment. So what are all the components are to be looked in while we are providing the rehabilitation services to them. So with this introduction, just I start this session. Okay. What is disability? What is disability? So some people are saying that inability to perform a particular activity is called disability. Or some people are saying that so socially they are dependent, so the people are called disability. And one question I'm asking you, so suppose a person having a fracture in his lower limb, so he is lying down for 6 months in the bed, and after that he is going to the regular independent life. So during the 6 months he is deprived of all the other regular activities, and he is dependent from the other people. So can we call him as a disabled person? Certainly not, because disability means which have a long-term impairment, where the things which was a temporary phenomenon and it's corrected after providing some sort of treatments, we are not calling them as a disabled. So when we call them as a disabled means, so when they have the permanent as well as the long-term impairment. Okay, so this is the concept of the disability. A person with a disability means a person with the long-term. So kindly note the term long-term. It is not a temporary phenomenon. It is a permanent phenomenon, and it will be there for their whole lifetime. So that's what it means, the long term. So it may be a physical or mental or intellectual or sensory impairment, which in interaction with the barriers. So these are all the physical conditions they have encountered some barriers, hinders in full and effective participation in the society equally with others. As like that, normal human beings is they find some difficulties in interacting with the community, the society. So the people who have the long-term impairment, then we call them as a disabled persons. Okay, this is according to the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016 in India. Okay, and concept of rehabilitations. Okay, what is the concept of rehabilitation? Suppose a person have polio. So what is the concept of rehabilitation means? We are trying to correct the affected limb. So that is treatment. What we are providing is providing the exercises, providing the strengthening exercises, all those things we are doing, all these things are exercises. But the rehabilitation concept is that after trying all sort of medical and surgical procedures, even though the residual disability is there, so we make the person to cope up with the particular disability. So make the person to live with the disability. So how we are making the person to live with the disability is called rehabilitations. For example, a person having the hearing problems, he is coming to the hospitals. So the proper assessments are doing for the hearing, and after all sort of medical treatments, speech therapy and everything, after that also the person was unable to recover the hearing back, then we call them as a hearing impaired. Okay, a person coming to the vision clinic, so they are assessing for all the acuity, the refractory errors, all the internal organ checking and everything. So after all sort of treatments like corrective surgeries, corrective lenses, and all sort of medical interventions and surgical interventions, if the person is unable to gain the vision back, then we call them as a visually impaired persons. So it is applicable to all sort of disabilities. It may be a cerebral palsy, it may be a mental retardation. The treatment is different and the rehabilitation is different. In rehabilitation, what we are doing in the rehabilitation, so making the person to live with the disability. For example, a hearing impaired person is there. So the communication is hampered. What we do, we are providing some alternative form of communications. So we teach them the sign language to communicate. We teach them the lip reading to communicate. A visually impaired person is there. So we are using the alternative senses through the hearing or the tactile. We are providing the education and employment. So the concept of the rehabilitation is that utilizing the other existing senses, we are making the person as independent as possible. So we are not going to treat the affected part. Affected, like suppose visual impairment means we are not going to treat anything for the vision in the area of the rehabilitation. Same way for the hearing impairment, we are not going to provide any treatment to regain the hearing. It's not the thing. With the hearing impairment, with the visual impairment, how we are make the person to live with that one. So that is called the concept of rehabilitation. So according to the World Report on Disability, rehabilitation is a set of measures that assist individuals to experience or likely to experience disability to achieve and maintain optimal functioning, in interaction with their environments. So with their environment, how they are walking, how they are moving from one place to another places, how they are communicating, how they are performing their jobs. So making them as much as possible, as optimal as possible is the concept of rehabilitations. Okay, so now in this presentation, I'm mainly focusing on the rehabilitation, not a treatment. So not the procedures to correct the vision or not the procedures to correct the hearing impairment, not like that. So after the visual impairment, what type of rehabilitation services are provided to persons with the visual impairment? Okay, so you know well, so the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act is passed in the year 2016. According to that, so 21 types of disabilities are there. So when we call a person is a disabled person, disabled person is a wrong word. The correct exact terminology is persons with disabilities, person with a disability. Okay, so who are all we call them as a person with a disability. So these 21 categories. So blindness, low vision, leprosy cured persons, locomotor disability, dwarfism, intellectual disability. Previously it was called mental retardation. Now they changed into intellectual disability, mental illness, cerebral palsy, specific learning disabilities, speech and language disability, Speech and language disability was not previously there, so they included newly. The hearing impairment, muscular dystrophy, acid attack victims. Since they have a lot of contractures and deformities, so there may be a difficulty in performing the activity. So they included the acid attack victim, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, thalassemia, hemophilia, sickle cell diseases, autism spectrum disorders, chronic neurological conditions. In that chronic neurological conditions is most of the conditions is what we are covering in the neurological disabilities like motor neuron diseases or hemiplegia or spinal cord injury or paraplegia, whatever may be the conditions. All these neurological conditions and damages are comes under the chronic neurological conditions. And multiple disabilities including deaf blindness. Multiple disabilities, any combination of any two or more type of disabilities is called as a multiple disabilities. Now we come to the visual impairment. So what is about the visual impairment? So we are seeing the definition of visual impairment. According to the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016 in India, the visual impairment is defined as, there are two categories. One is blindness, another one is low vision. So the blindness means a condition where a person has any of the following conditions after best corrections. Kindly note the word after best corrections. So even after attending all the best possible surgical or medical interventions, after that, after the best possible corrections, if the person having this type of problems, then we call them as a blindness. One is total absence of sight. It's a completely absence of sight. Another thing is visual acuity less than 3/60 or less than 10/200 in the better eye with the best possible corrections. So note two words. One is better eye and the best possible corrections. Better eye in the sense, suppose if a person having one eye normal and another eye having complete blindness. So we are not calling the person as a visually impaired person, because if both the eyes are affected, in the better eye, suppose one eye is very worse, another eye is little bit affected. So in the better eye, after the best possible corrections, if the visual acuity is less than 3/60, then we call them as a blindness. The same way, limitation of the field of vision subtending to an angle of less than 10 degrees. So these are all the conditions. Okay. Low vision, whom we call a low vision persons. Low vision means a condition where a person has any of the following conditions, namely visual acuity not exceeding 6/80 or less than 20/60, up to 3/60 or up to 10/200 in the Snellen and Wald chart in the better eye. Kindly note the word again, in the better eye, which is the best possible corrections. So among the two eyes, in the better eye, if the condition meets, then we call them as a low visions. And the limitation of the field of vision subtending to the angle less than 40 degree to up to 10 degree. So these are all the conditions for low vision. Okay, right. So according to the census 2011 in India, near about 2.68 crore populations are having disabilities. Okay, among that, near about 19% of the population having problem in seeing. So visual related problems. He may be a, and they may be a hearing. They may be a totally blind person, or they may be a low vision person. Okay. So this is the total number. So near about 50 lakh people, 32,463 people are having visual disabilities. Okay, so causes of the blindness. What are the common causes of blindness? So according to the WHO, there are few common causes are there, especially the uncorrected refractive errors, cataract, age-related macular degeneration, glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, corneal opacity, trachoma, retinitis pigmentosa, optic nerve atrophy. Few of the external problems like refractory errors, all the things are corrected. But when there is a problem in the inner eye, so maybe it's related to the optic nerve damage, or it may be to the genetic conditions, or injury to the higher centers like cortical area of the brain, so it will lead to the blindness. Okay. What are the common problems faced by persons with visual impairment? So moving from one place to another place, because we are seeing and moving from one place to another places. So Without the vision, so there is a difficulty in moving from one place to another places. In the same way, finding reading materials. So we are using the books or laptops or computers to read the contents. So they face the difficulties in reading the materials. In accessibility in education, employment, daily living skills, recreational activities, in this all areas they have the problems. That is before to the rehabilitation. So I'm not saying these are all the problems. So now the people are doing all the things. But one thing is, prior to the rehabilitation of a person with visual impairment, they're facing these type of problems. Okay. So now we are going to talk about the rehabilitation measures for persons with visual impairment. What type of rehabilitation measures are we are going to see? As like I previously told, we are not going to touch the sight because it's already lost for totally blind persons. For the low vision persons, they have some residual vision, so they are not fully completely absence of sight. They have each and every person varies in degrees. So some residual vision is there. So we are going to use this residual vision. In the same way, use the olfactory sense, auditory sense, tactile sense, proprioceptive sense, so gustatory sense and vestibular sense. So by stimulating all the other components, so we are making the person to learn many things. So providing education, providing orientation, mobility, providing employment, all the things we may able to provide to persons with visual impairment by providing training to all other areas. Okay. As a part of it, just I am coming for the first is tactile. So tactile means touch. So they have a very good tactile sensitivity. So braille. So braille is a method more in the visually impaired. There are two eyes they are saying. One is the braille as well as the cane. So these two are the very important component for the visually impaired persons. So braille. So braille means so dot system. So the braille means is a 6 dot system developed by the Louis Braille. So it's a tactile approach to reading and writing. So this is a method using for reading and writing. So we call them as a one cell. In one cell there are 6 dots are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this symbol is called this symbol is called as one braille cell. One braille cell consists of 6 dots. Okay. If you see the braille script, suppose braille book, so like this only. The braille book is looking like this only. It's full of dots are there. So the person, so navigate his fingertip over the dots and read the contents. Okay. So how they are reading the contents? So in these dots, there I told already 6 dots are there. In these 6 dots, the numbers are coded. The letters are coded. You see, the dot 1 is called A, dot 1 and 2 is called B, dot 1 and 4 is called C. So like that, all the letters are coded in the dots. If that particular dot is embossed in the particular cell, then they may able to identify the letter. As like the letters, it is not only in English letter, it is available in all the letters. So Tamil, English, Kannada, Malayalam, Urdu, in all the letters it's there. This is the Hindi version of the braille. And so braille is in a Unicode language. In Unicode language, in the sense, it's a braille. It's a dot 1. In Tamil, it's called A. In the same way in Kannada, in Devanagari, in Telugu, Malayalam, Gujarati, Bengali, Odia. So in all the things, there are different codings are there. The same letter, but have the different codings in different languages. So the reading style is mostly similar. So there's no much more difficulty in learning Tamil braille, English braille, or Telugu braille, or Malayalam braille, or Kannada braille. So it's a common Unicode language. Okay. As like the letters, the numbers is also coded. So for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there are different dots are there. One symbol is there. Suppose prior to the numbers, they will put this sign. So 3, 4, 5, 6. This is looking like an inverted L. If they put the sign and write this dot, it's indicating that it's a number. It's 3 or 4. Suppose 13. So they first put the number sign, and after that it is 1, and this is 3. So like that they are writing. Okay. So these are all the devices used for braille writing. So the first one is a braille interpoint braille slate. In the Braille state, this one cell consists of 6 dots. For all the cells, it consists of six dots. Okay. So the second image is called stylus. So they are using this stylus for writing the Braille letters. Okay. They insert the paper in the Braille slate and they started writing from right to left. So we see the code. Suppose in the code is there. So first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is there. While they were writing, instead of punching here, they reversely punch here. So they will started punching from right to left, and after punching it, they take the paper and reverse the paper and start reading. So when reversing the paper, automatically it comes into the normal position. Okay. So as like as like we are taking notes in our paper along with the pen, how we are taking notes in our classrooms, the persons with visual disabilities are taking notes in the classrooms by using this Braille slates. Okay. As like we have a typewriter, so the Brailler is there. So the 6 dots. So here 3 dots are there. In the same way, opposite side 3 dots are there. In between the space bar is there. So providing the same six letters. So pressing the combination of these letters is these keys, they may able to type the Braille components, Braille letters. So this is the way of writing the Braille. Okay. So this is for smaller production. Suppose if you want to write the Braille in 1 page or 2 pages, they may use this method. Suppose you want to produce large number of books. So here what we have, there are a lot of Braille presses are there all over the country. In Chennai, we have a regional Braille press at our center. In the same way, in Mysore also, we have the Braille press is there. So they print and supply the school textbooks. Like suppose one 100-page science book is there, or Tamil book is there, or English book is there. So that 100-page comes as a 300-page in Braille language. So they print in volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. Like that they will print. So they print and supply to all over the schools. So these are all the photographs of the regional Braille press what we have. So this helps for large production of Braille books. Okay. So these are all few Braille writing devices. The first one is same. That's a packet frame. So 5-line packet frame. Same 6 dots are there. So they put one paper in between that one and they started writing it. As like we are taking some packet notes for taking some notes. So they use this one. This is the second picture is signature guide. In that signature guide, so while they are doing the signature, they, in order to correctly put the signature in the correct place, they use this signature guide. The third picture, you will be able to see the Braille scale. So in that scale, if you see that scale, okay, so each 5 centimeter, 2 dots are there. In the same way, sorry, each 5 centimeter, there are 3 dots are there. You see here 1, 2, 3, here 1, 2, 3, and here 1, 2, 3, and here 1, 2, 3. Okay. So like that, there are some tactile markings are there, which helps to identify the centimeters and millimeters. Okay. Right. And the usage of the Braille in different, not only in the education, in different parts. Somewhere if you are seeing in the public buildings, in government buildings, is for providing, in order to provide the accessibility, they provide signage. So signage is one of the important component in creating the barrier-free environment. Okay, so under this barrier-free environment, the contrast color should be used. So the background and the front line color, front line content should be in a different color. It is in there are some guidelines are there. Based on the guidelines, they are preparing the signage. In that, if you see all the signage, the bottom of all the signages, you see dotted letters. So these are all the contents written in Braille. So if a person learn this Braille, he may able to access many components. Okay, this is a one picture which was taken in the Chennai. This is MSME Department Institute Gindi. So the layout, the whole layout of the institution. So which room is located at which place? The map, it's like a map. It is written in the Braille. Okay. Right. So accessible ATMs. The same way in the ATMs, each and every letter, the braille dots are mentioned here. So this is number code, and the same way this is number. So number code and number. So all the things are mentioned here. Along with that, some audio feedback is also provided. So the visually impaired persons can able to listen the audio what they are transacting. Okay. In the lifts also the braille dots are there. So the learning the braille is a very important component. So if we are teaching the braille to them, mostly they use this braille for reading and writing. So the education wise, in order to empower them education wise, this braille is a very important component. Okay, right. So sensory training. So prior to, so this is for small children. So when before starting the braille, they need some training. When the children are before starting the braille, they need this type of small sensory training. So their tactile sensitivity should be enhanced. So in order to access the braille dots, okay, for that we need few activities like so grasping, holding objects, transferring objects from one hand to another hand, the same way exploring the objects, moving the fingers, so tactile exercises for tactile discriminations, and many fine motor activities. So these activities may helps to for teaching the pre-braille skills. Okay, some of the activities like sting and beads, stinging the beads, buttons, seeds, flowers. The same way tie shoelaces, identify and short shapes, triangles, squares, circles. In the same way, putting pegs in the pegboard. So put different objects in the peg. So let the child identify the things by using his touch sense. So these are all the few exercise patterns. Okay. So these are all other exercises. So making knots in a rope or thread with a 1 or 2 inch gap and teaching to remove the knots. So this is also one of the very minute tactile things. So the same way, hotness, coldness, temperature by touching and feeling, heavier object, lighter object by lifting the objects. So joining the beads, so identifying the shapes, so of the pulses and everything. These are all the minute activities which helps to enhance the tactile sensitivity of the children. Just I am only explaining the concept of the tactile sensitivity and tactile training, importance of tactile, as well as we are in the rehabilitation process. We have to enhance the all other senses, so sense of hearing. So sense of hearing. So ask the person to listen different set of sounds, explore the bird sounds. In the same way, some roadside noises and fine musics, relatives voices, and very fine minute sounds. So providing this type of training helps to sharpen these hearing skills. The same is smell and taste. Use different plants, different flowers, different foods to teach the smell, so bitter or sweet, so like that. The same way residual vision is there. So a few exercises like tactile discrimination or eye-hand coordination exercises. So this helps to improve the residual vision. Okay, and kinesthetic sense. It's one of the important sense to teach the children. So ask the children to fold the fingers and ask whether your hand is folded in a folded position or in a opened position. So they may able to open and close the fingers 10 times. So the kinetic sense they may able to identify. So providing these are very important prior to the teaching braille and other components. Okay. Right. So this is, I covered one area. So through the tactile inputs, what type of the things we are, in which way we are rehabilitating children with the persons with visual impairment. So another area is screen reading, auditory inputs. So next thing, whatever we are providing the materials, it should be in the audio format. Okay, right. So many people are nowadays, the computer is an important component. As like our sixth finger, computers also came into our sixth finger. So computer accessibility is one of the important component. So there are some softwares are there. The screen reading softwares. Screen reading softwares means it is a software which helps to read the contents which are available in your computer screen. So these are all screen reading softwares. Screen readers are software programs that allows users with visual impairment to read the text that is displayed on the computer screen with a speech synthesizer or braille display. So through the screen reading softwares, we may able to hear the voice through the speech synthesizer or some sort of braille display. So they may able to access through the braille devices. Okay, so this is called screen reading softwares. In computers, most of the people are using these screen reading softwares. In mobiles, most of the students are using these screen reading softwares. With the help of these, they may able to access all the contents as like us. So they use the PowerPoint, Word, Excel, Internet, Twitter, Facebook, whatever the things we are doing, all the areas they may able to access through the use of these screen reading softwares. Okay, so some of the few important screen reading softwares. The JAWS, Job Access with Speech, it's a paid version. In the same way, the Non-Visual Desktop Access, NVDA, it's a free open source version. It supports most of the Indian regional languages. Okay, these are all these softwares is to be downloaded and installed in our computer. Apart from that, few softwares are already inbuilt in our computers. Like if you're having the Orca in a Linux operating system, Narrator in Windows operating system, VoiceOver in Apple operating system. Okay, so this is a refreshable braille display. If you are connecting this refreshable braille display, so what are the things are appearing in the computer screen? The same content will be delivered through the braille dots. It's a refreshable braille dots. So you may be able to save lots of paper. So printing the braille into number of pages, we may be able to reduce the burden of printing. So they may be able to easily access the content through this refreshable braille display. Okay. Mobile-based screen reading software. There are a lot of mobile-based screen reading softwares are there. So Talks, the same way eSpeak, and Google Text-to-Speech, Shine Plus. These are all the common mobile screen reading softwares. Okay. Some inbuilt mobile screen reading softwares also available. BlackBerry screen reader, so TalkBack. Mostly, many of the people are using the Android applications. If we go to the accessibility option in the Android mobiles, the TalkBack is there. If you on that particular TalkBack, automatically it reads all the contents which are available in your mobile phone. So what is coming in your screen? The TalkBack automatically it provides the audio output. So VoiceOver. So these are all the few softwares helps to read the contents. The another one important aspect in the audio format books is called as an DAISY format books. DAISY format books. DAISY means Digital Accessible Information System. Digital Accessible Information System. So through this, there are some standards are there. So it is a technical standard for digital audio books, periodicals, and computerized text. Okay. So this is mainly helpful for the persons with the print disabilities. Visual impairment people, dyslexia people, and many people who are having the problem in reading the print content. For those people, this DAISY format books are very much useful. Okay. There are some DAISY players are there. So when the content is in the DAISY format, these players are helps to read the contents. So nowadays, as like our mobile phone, what they will do, they store all the educational books, educational materials, the teachers' lessons. They record the lessons while the teacher is taking class in the classrooms through this DAISY players. And after that, they will go to the home and relaxedly they read the contents. Okay. So these are all the one type set of softwares. The another important software is this scanning and reading machines. Suppose a book is there. So if you are scanning the book under the scanner, it captures all the letters. Instead of capturing as an image, it captures all the letters through the optical character recognition softwares, and it converts these letters into text. The text may be converted into the audio format by using the screen reading softwares. So this type of machines is called as scanning and reading machines, especially Penbook OCR, Kurzweil. So these are all the very famous optical character recognition softwares along with that scanning and reading machines. The Indian language OCRs are available in Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, and Gujarati, and most of the Indian languages. Okay. These are all the screen reading softwares which are helpful for persons with total blindness. So the person having the total blindness, this will be helpful. The people who have the low visions, the person having a vision, but they need some assistance to enlarge the content. So for those persons, so these screen magnification softwares are used. So the Magic screen magnification softwares, so Dolphin Supernova, the same way Orca, Zoom Text magnifier in a Windows operating system. Usually the Microsoft magnifier is there. Okay. In the same way, books, as like the things, the people who have the low vision, for those people, we need the large print books. The font size of the books is enlarged for them to make them easily access the books. This is one component of the large print books. Another area is the embossed diagrams. So embossed diagrams is helpful for both the persons, for persons with visual impairment also, for people with the low vision also. If we are providing some combination of colors, so for background and the drawing color, so it will be helpful for the persons with the low vision. Okay, we have a large print press at our regional center Chennai. So through this, we print the books in a large print format. Okay, so this is one type of printing material in large print format. Apart from this, some magnifiers helps to enlarge the contents. So these are all the examples of few magnifiers. So first one is the stand type magnifier, and the same way the mouse magnifier. If you are moving the mouse over the page, it will automatically enlarge the content and it is displayed in the television or the computer screen. So this is about the low vision devices. So how it will be helpful for the low visions. And adapted educational materials. So uh, so for doing mathematics, we are using the paper and pens and calculators for doing the mathematics. How a visually impaired person with visual impairment are doing the mathematics. They are doing the mathematics via the styler frame. Tyler frame is not a frame used in the fracture. It's a frame device. It's a Tyler frame is a device used for providing the mathematical calculations. Along with that one, some pegs are available. So there are different set of pegs are there. By using these pegs, they are using they are doing the calculations. It's just one demonstration video. I'm showing you how they are using the Tyler frame for doing the mathematics. Sure. Is it coming now? Is it coming now, sir? Is it-
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Please minimize your PPT. Minimize your PPT, sir.
Yes, sir. Is it audible, sir?
There might be little lag, sir. I'm just waiting to see your screen. What is there in your screen, sir, right now?
So Tyler stream is there. So madam is showing about the. I'm not playing that one.
Yeah, I'm not able to see that screen, sir.
It's not visible.
No, sir. Do one thing. Stop sharing.
Okay, 1 minute.
Stop
1
the
minute.
share. And share your screen again.
Just a minute, sir. I will do one thing. Is it now visible, sir?
Yeah, Taylor frame.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, fine.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead. Sir, please pause the video.
Is audio is coming, sir? Is it
No,
audio?
sir. Audio is not coming. So you have to stop share and then again you have to check that box, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Stop share.
Yes, sir.
Check the box. Play it, sir.
Yeah.
Welcome all. This video log is about a small demonstration
Yes,
about
perfect.
the mathematical device which is most commonly used by
Is it audible, sir?
Yes, sir, it is audible. Please play it from the beginning.
Yeah, sir. Sure.
children with visual impairment in the day. Welcome all. This video log is about a small demonstration about the mathematical device which is most commonly used by children with visual impairment in the day-to-day living. It's called Taylor frame. It's called Taylor frame because it was invented by Mr. Taylor here. So that's our frame here. You can see this is a wooden board. In the wooden board there's an aluminum plate fixed over here, and you can see a star-shaped holes are being seen over here. Each star shapes has about 8 positions of pegs can be placed in each of the single line. And every line there is, you can see there are a number of 25 holes are there, and some place you can see 18 version is there, and whereas in this question you can see 25 by 25 version is also available. So when we talk about this Taylor frame, how to use this Taylor frame? This Taylor frame maximum used by children with especially the two types of pegs. It's called arithmetic peg and algebraic peg. So let me show you now what is arithmetic peg and algebraic peg. This is one of the peg, this is aluminum based peg, what you're looking up here. You can see that there's a small slit stripe half lined picture you can see here. This is called the arithmetic peg, and the reverse side you can see two pointed figures are there. So this type of peg is called as arithmetic peg, and this, with the help of this arithmetic peg, we can set numbers and we can do calculations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication and divisions. Whereas the next type of peg is called as, you can see this type of peg where you can see half L shape is available on one side, and other side we have to see is a half triangle shape. Let me just rotate the peg so that you can see that how the peg differentiation is. And the opposite side or the back side you can see half L shape. This type of peg is called algebraic pegs. You know that we use that letters such as A, B, C, X, Y, Z. For that purpose, these pegs are used. Now let us see the positioning of the pegs for understanding. So this is the one which I was showing that is having a line type. So I may start with the position of this. This is called number 1, and slight rotation of it in the clockwise direction number 2. The third position in the clockwise direction is called number 3. The next position you can see number 4, and slight another movement 5, and for 6, 7 and 8. So any whole representation of any of these 8 characters what we have discussed about can be placed. Whereas when we talk about what about for the other numbers and as well as for this addition, subtraction and everything, there's nothing but you have to use the opposite direction which you earlier marked with the 2 printed one. Same way, just like a placement of 1, so this side the placement of dot shows number 9, and then the clockwise direction 0, and the clockwise direction of positioning can plus, minus, multiplication, division, and then you can see for proportion equal to, proportion or is to, and then come for the equal to. So this is what how we use for the arithmetic pegs. And for better clarification, I have same way that picked over here. As I told you, can see this is one position. Phase number 1, this is for number 2, number 3, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the 9, 0, plus, minus, multiplication, division. This is for is to or proportion and for equal to. So when we same way we have to use for the calculations for algebraic also, the triangle version as well as the LCF version is most commonly used for such calculation. So what about the pros and cons about this device? When we talk about the advantage of pros, we can say that this is very easy, quicker for understanding. And second thing is wherever step-by-step requirement of understanding is required again and again, that is critically possible in this system. And if you want to see to carry over after another time can be done over here. So one side you can utilize for calculation, another side you can use it for setting. Like this, the maximum number of calculations can be done in this one. And major advantage of this one, you can see there's a side version of Pocket is being given available over here. So this Pocket version, they can hold up all whatever the pegs they need, they can place it inside this one, and they can use it. After using it, they can close it and keep it like that one. So this is about the advantages. When we talk about the disadvantages, is that saying that it is little bit of time consuming and too much of use may lead to exhaustion. And third one, we can say since the material quoted upon that this peg is not of good level, so what you have to do is when we have to see the children are not getting accustomed to any sort of practices putting into the mouth, or without after using this without washing their hands, they do not have to take their food. So that is why we have to more insist upon. So this is how when we have an understanding that how a totally blind person can be able to do maths. It is possible that with any kind of gadgets, this adapted version for their learning can enable them to learn mathematics at ease. So this is about the Taylor frame. Thank you so much.
Is it visible, sir? Is the slide visible?
No, sir.
Slide is visible.
You have to share. You have to share again. You have to go to your team and you have to share your screen again.
Okay. Now?
Yeah.
Now is it visible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So sorry for the technical delay. So why I'm playing this video is that so you have to get some understanding that providing some adaptations in the devices makes the person to do the particular activity. Okay, so these are some adapted versions of the other educational devices. So adapted geometrical materials. In the same way, the embossed diagrams to teaching the science concepts, maths concepts. This tactile drawing board for drawing some pictures and showing to the childrens with visual impairment. Okay, these are all the educational aspects. The another area, key area, is orientation and mobility training. So orientation means providing some information about the particular situations. Suppose the person is in the home, so explaining about the home environment. So the furnitures are here, how many people are there, so where are the obstacles are there. So that's called orientation. In the same while they're going to the new places, they're going to the some railway station or something. So providing some information about which way the person has to enter into the railway stations, where the ticket counter is there, so where to get the boarding into the train. So this type of information, providing the information, is orientation. So whenever we are dealing with person with visual impairment, while accompanying the person with visual impairment, providing the basic orientation about the situation in which they are going to face. So it's helpful for them to understand the particular situation. Okay. So another one is the mobility training. So one of the very important area of the rehabilitation is called mobility training. So especially there are two types of mobility training are there. One is sighted guide techniques. When a sighted person is helping a person with visual impairment from move from one place to another places, the sighted guide techniques are used. So there are a lot of techniques are there: how to sit in a chair, how to climb the stairs, how to cross the road, what are the techniques to be followed while they are going into the narrow pathways. So like that. In the same way, the another one important technique is cane techniques. Cane technique means they're using this white cane. It's like stick-like devices. The cane, mainly they using this cane for mobility purposes from one place to another places. There are different type of techniques are there. How to identify the obstacles in front of them. So in the side pathway, so touch and trap. There are a lot of techniques are available. So teaching these techniques helps the visually impaired persons to move independently from one place to another place. This is a basic orientation and training program we are providing in our center. Okay, so we make the children's persons to go into the public places, and we're teaching the mobility training over there. Okay, so these are all the devices. This is a folding white cane used for most of the persons with visual impairment. In the same way, some advanced devices like smart canes are also available, in which the sensor is available in front of that. It detects the obstacles around in 3 meters in front of the 3 meters of them. So if any obstacles are there, so there will be detect and provide some vibration as well as some beep sounds. The another area, main area providing the rehabilitation is teaching the activities of daily living. So teaching the self-help skills like eating, brushing, dressing, bathing, toilet training, combing, etc. In the same way, home skills like washing, ironing clothes, etc. And cooking skills like washing plates, the same way cleaning, going to the market. So all the things that comes under the cooking skills. So in our center, we are teaching the cooking skills. So there are each certain steps are there. So through the steps, they may be able to do all the activities independently. Ironing skills. Suppose for the ironing, they have to start touch the flag, and along with the rope, they have to move their fingers, and they should hold the back side of the ironing box. So this way, this. Okay, so washing. The same way, some tactile markings will be helpful for them. Suppose the dress is there, the towel is there. In the towel, different tactile markings we are providing. So it helps to identify hostels. There are 100 students are there. Among the 100 students, there is a difficulty in identifying their own towels. So if they're seeing this tactile marking, okay, this is my towel, this is another person's towel, they may be able to identify easily. The same way, some tactile markings may be provided for the dress. For some people want to dress matchly, so shirt and pant should be matched together. So for that small tactile marking in the shirt and pant, similar tactile marking, that will be helpful for matching the dress. So this type of adaptations helps to make the life independently. And some adapted devices are also there, like the braille watch. Independently, they may be able to see the timings, and the liquid level indicator. Whenever they're using the coffee or some liquids, so how much amount of liquid is there, so they may be able to measure and provide some beep sound. and talking thermometer, talking BP apparatus, many devices are there. Recreation activities. So cricket, the same as chess are the most favorite games for these children. Along with that, many games they are using. So Coco, Ludo, Snake and Ladder, running, swimming. So all the exercises they are doing. So this is the Indian cricket team. So when the Indian cricket team, when they won the blind cricket World Cup. Okay. So these are all some adapted playing devices. So audible cricket ball, so sound ball. If you can, some bells are inside. So whenever the ball is moving, it provides a sound. Providing some adaptations in the game rules and providing some audio feedback that helps them to easily play the material, easily play the games. So adapted chessboard, adapted snake and ladder exercises, snake and ladder and Ludo, adapted dice. So adapted bicycling race. In the same way, wire guided running. So in order to run in a straight line, this wires helps to guide the persons to move from one place to another place easily. So rope guided or wire guided running. So while we are teaching this physical education, we have to see this verbalizing the instruction instead of the printed or the visual instructions. You have to provide them verbal instructions. So audio format instruction should be needed. The same way, whenever they need the physical support, so we want to touch them and physically prompt them to do the particular activity at the initial stages. Due to the corona time, so we have to take much more precautions while we are providing the physical prompt. The same way, use of the sound, modifying the equipment and modifying the rules of the play. So this makes it actually for persons to play well. Okay. And the next area is related to the physical education. So related to the physical activity. So mostly the target populations are belongs to the physical education department. Sorry, physiotherapy department. So for this few research findings, I would like to quote. So what are the problems? So what are the areas we want to focus on? The sensory system plays an important role in the control of locomotion. This system includes the proprioceptive, vestibular, and visual systems. Visual impairment can affect the equilibrium of the systems, resulting in problems in especially the balance, posture, coordination, tension of neck muscles, shoulder muscles, loss of spinal rotation, and reciprocal absence. So these are all the areas where we have to look in. So accordingly, teach you the coordination exercises, postural training exercises. So in order to reduce the neck and shoulder muscle tensions, provide some massaging techniques, some strengthening exercises, spinal mobility exercises, and reciprocal and exercises for reciprocal arm swing. Okay. So in the same way, the another form is regular aerobic exercises like jogging, walking, and swimming and stationary cycling. So these are all the things helps to improve their cardiovascular fitness. Not only these endurance exercises also is much more needed for all the people. The other thing is that when we are teaching the exercises, we want to incorporate this tactile, kinetic, and auditory stimuli. So all these three stimuli will be helpful. And roughly, I'm telling about the exercises. You know well how to do the exercises. Main thing, you have to provide some adaptations in that one. The flexibility exercises like strengthening exercises or yoga position, stretching exercises, mobility exercises, range of motion exercises, balance and coordination exercises, strengthening exercises, endurance exercises for cardiovascular fitness. So providing little adaptations helps them to make better. Okay, I provided there is many list of assistive devices. So there is a scheme of government of India called ADIP scheme. So scheme of assistance to disabled persons for purchase and fitment of aids and appliances. Under the schemes, we are providing some basic educational devices, some recreational devices, some mobility devices free of cost to the school children. As well as for the college going students, we are supplying the DAISY players or smartphones. Okay. And another one important area is creating the barrier-free environment. All people know well that one. So providing the barrier-free environment which helps to access by all kinds of persons with disabilities along with the elderly persons. So these are all the guidelines. So kindly go through these guidelines. So some of the examples like providing some tactile pathways at the railway stations, airports. And there are some norms are there in which way this tactile tiles to be marked. It's like button tiles or linear tiles, in which way it should be laid down. So these are few markings. And Accessible India campaign is one of the another India campaign which creates the barrier-free environment for persons with disabilities. In that we have some on behalf of the NIEPVD, we take some initiatives. So I want to show the last video of that one. For that particular video, Okay.
नमस्कार। सुगम्य भारत अभियान को लागू करने के लिए जरूरी
Is it audible, sir? Is the video is coming?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir, please.
ये है कि अमूमन हम अपने दफ्तरों में अलग अलग तरह की सुविधाएं करें जो कि सुगम्यता को बढ़ाती हूं। उस कड़ी में कुछ चीजें दिखाता हूं जो कि हमारे दफ्तर में या NIEPVD में लगाया गया है। आप आ सकते हैं और देख सकते हैं। जब आप दफ्तर के अंदर आते हैं तो पहली चीज जो आपको नजर आती है वो आती है नेम प्लेट। तो नेम प्लेट को कैसे सुगम्य बनाना है, ये नेम प्लेट है और इस नेम प्लेट में आप देख रहे हैं कि बड़े छापे में या लार्ज प्रिंट में छपा हुआ है लेटर्स और ये एक कॉन्ट्रास्ट बैकग्राउंड में है। ये कॉन्ट्रास्ट बैकग्राउंड नीले पे सफेद का है जो कि इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स में है, हिंदी में लिखा गया है और ठीक इसके नीचे ही ब्रेल में लिखा गया है और उसके नीचे अंग्रेजी में लिखा गया है। तो आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ 3 स्क्रिप्ट लिखे हुए हैं, देवनागरी, ब्रेल और रोमन स्क्रिप्ट। 2 भाषाओं में लिखा गया है। कई लोग होते हैं जिन्हें कि इस नाम का उच्चारण, नचिकेता राव, इसका उच्चारण नहीं आता, तो वो लोग इस QR कोड को स्कैन कर सकते हैं और इस QR कोड को स्कैन करने से नाम का सही उच्चारण समझ आ जाता है। विशेषकर जो विदेशी होते हैं उनके लिए बड़ा सहयोगी होता है और उपयोगी होता है ये QR कोड। जैसे हम अंदर जाते हैं, ये एक दूसरा ढंग है नेम प्लेट का जिसमें कि गोल्डन के ऊपर एम्बॉस किया हुआ है। कई कॉम्बिनेशन हो सकते हैं। दूसरी अहम चीज जो कि आपके ऑफिस में होती है वो होती है कैलेंडर। तो यहाँ किस तरह सुगम्य बनाया गया है आप देख सकते हैं कि अभी जून का महीना है पर उसके पहले महीने मई का और साथ ही साथ जुलाई का कैलेंडर रखा गया है ताकि प्लानर का काम कर सके। ये प्रॉपरली इल्यूमिनेटेड है, कहते हैं ना कि 200 लक्स का लाइट होना चाहिए, तो 200 लक्स की लाइट है इसके अंदर। विशेषकर यहाँ इस कैलेंडर की विशेषता यह है कि इसे आप लार्ज प्रिंट में छपा हुआ देख सकते हैं, इसके ऊपर ब्रेल भी डाला हुआ है और साथ ही साथ QR कोड है, यानी कि पूरे महीने को सुना जा सकता है। कौन कौन से छुट्टियां हैं वो भी बोलेगा, कौन से शनिवार है, कौन से रविवार है ये भी बोलेगा, बुद्ध पूर्णिमा है 7 तारीख को ये भी बोलेगा और मुहर्रम है 25 तारीख को ये भी बोलेगा। तो आप इस कैलेंडर को देख सकते हैं, छू सकते हैं, सुन सकते हैं और इसमें लार्ज प्रिंट और इल्यूमिनेशन का ख्याल रखा गया है। ये विशेषता है। आपके यहाँ अमूमन कई एक फोटोग्राफ भी टंगे होते हैं, जैसे हमारे प्रेसिडेंट साहब का फोटोग्राफ है, तो प्रेसिडेंट साहब के बारे में कुछ उनका नाम अगर आप QR कोड में चिपका दें उसके ऊपर तो वो भी एक व्यक्ति खास करके वेटिंग लॉन्ज में स्कैन कर सुनकर उनके बारे में जान सकता है और जानकारी भी मिलेगी और समय भी बीतेगा। आगे जब आप ऑफिस में आते हैं और कुछ चीजें जो कि आप सुगम्य बना सकते हैं, जैसे कि ये टेबल टॉप है और इस तरफ आप अगर देखें तो अंग्रेजी में ये लिखा हुआ है, तो ये भी हुआ ट्राइस्क्रिप्टल, रोमन, देवनागरी, ब्रेल, बाइलिंगुअल और ऑडिटरी फॉर्मेट में। वैसे जब आपके पास कोई आता पहली बार तो आप उसे अपना विजिटिंग कार्ड देते हैं। ये विजिटिंग कार्ड कॉन्ट्रास्ट कलर में छपा हुआ है, अंग्रेजी में है और इसके ऊपर ये ट्रांसपेरेंट शीट लगाए गए हैं जो कि ब्रेल में नाम को और डेजिग्नेशन को और पते को लिखते हैं। पीछे अगर देखें तो हिंदी में लिखा हुआ है और साथ ही साथ QR कोड है जो कि इस कार्ड की पूरी समरी को बताता है यहाँ। तो इस तरह विजिटिंग कार्ड को भी सुगम्य बनाया जा सकता है। टेबल के ऊपर अमूमन एक डेटर रखने की आवश्यकता होती है। ये एक डेटर है जो कि यूनिवर्सल डिजाइन में है। कैसे यूनिवर्सल डिजाइन में है? पहली बात तो ये है कि ये लार्ज प्रिंट में है, बड़े अक्षरों में है तो दिख सकता है। ये डेटर ऐसा है जो कि अलग अलग क्यूब्स में है और इसके ऊपर ब्रेल एम्बोसमेंट्स हैं। तो आज का तारीख अगर आप देखें, मंडे 8 तारीख जून, इसे एक ब्लाइंड व्यक्ति भी ब्रेल में छूकर सजा सकता है। तो वो उसके टेबल पे रहेगा और स्टेबल है, देखने में भी खूबसूरत है और लार्ज प्रिंट में भी है। तो यूनिवर्सल डिजाइन में डेटा भी बना सकते हैं आप। किसी भी एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का अहम चीज होता है उसका एस्टेट या उसका मैप। वैसे ही हमारा NIPVD का एस्टेट जो कि 44 एकड़ का है वो इस तरह का दिखता है। लेकिन अगर आप एक 2 डायमेंशनल मैप दिखाएं किसी को, अगर आप इस 44 एकड़ का 2 डायमेंशनल मैप किसी को दिखाएं तो हम आप या जो व्यक्ति देख पाते हैं उनके लिए तो चलो ठीक है, लेकिन जो दृष्टि दिव्यांग है उसके लिए तो कोई मायने नहीं रखता है। ये कहते हैं ना कि द ब्लाइंड लिव्स इन अ 3D वर्ल्ड, तो उनको ध्यान में रखकर बनाया गया है ये टैक्टाइल मैप। इस टैक्टाइल मैप की खासियत कुछ इस तरह की है कि यहाँ जितने भी ये रास्ता है, राजपुर रोड और कनाल रोड, ये रास्ते सारे के सारे एम्बॉस्ड हैं। ये बिल्डिंग ये भी एम्बॉस्ड है। अगर 2 तला का कोई बिल्डिंग है तो 2 तले में है, 3 तला का तो 3 तले में है, 2 तला 3 तला, और अगर सिंगल फ्लोर है तो सिंगल फ्लोर है। अगर हैच्ड रूफ है या स्लैंटिंग रूफ है तो स्लैंटिंग रूफ का बनाया गया है। अलग अलग रंगों में कोडेड है, जैसे कि आप एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव ब्लॉक लाल में दिया गया है, जहां भी लड़कियां रहती हैं वो पिंक में गुलाबी में दिया गया है, और जहां लड़के रहते हैं वो नीले में दिया गया। तो बॉयज हॉस्टल नीले में, गर्ल्स हॉस्टल गुलाबी में, जहां कुछ भी बनता है प्रोडक्शन के लिए हरे में दिया गया है। तो आप देख सकते हैं MBA और स्पेशल एजुकेशन यूनिट हरे में, डिस्पेंसरी सफेद में। वैसे ये कलर कोडेड है, एम्बॉस्ड है, साथ ही साथ अगर आप देखें तो वॉइस एक्टिवेटेड है। सुगम्य टैक्टाइल और ऑडिटरी मैप, जैसे आप छूते किसी बिल्डिंग को, हेलन केलर भवन, इस बिल्डिंग का नाम ही बोलता है। वैसे अगर इसे छुए आदर्श विद्यालय, इस तरह आप देख सकते हैं कि इस पूरे मैप को आप छूकर इससे जानकारी ले सकते हैं। ये एक टैक्टाइल मैप है जो कि आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को दिखा सकता है। इस तरह अगर आप इस्तेमाल करते हैं अलग अलग तरह की चीज, तो आपका ऑफिस स्पेस आर्किटेक्चरल ही नहीं, एक्सेसरी वाइज भी एक्सेसिबल या सुगम्य बन सकता है। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Yeah, sir. So I think it's in Hindi, but I think you may be able to understand that concept, how they created the different accessibility format for the persons with the visual impairment. So as a final conclusion, I want to say that so one thing why I am focusing on this areas and presenting this one is to you is that in that the majority of the contents we are not trying to correct the visual impairment, we are not trying to provide the vision back, but we are adopting the other areas like adopted softwares, technology, in the same way adopted devices, adopted rules, adopted recreational things. So we are adopting or modifying all the other environments according to the persons. So this is what I want to do for persons with visual impairment. So for disabilities. So for persons with the disabilities, there is a long-term impairment. So we may able to provide some little improvements in the particular areas, but the main thing, the particular impairment, we may not able to correct it. So we have to work on the alternative strategies to strengthen the alternative strategies for hearing impaired persons, sign language and other things. The same way hearing for the visually impaired persons, like this basic orientation and braille reading, auditory devices, softwares and other things. So if you are focusing on that one, so we may be able to provide the overall rehabilitation system. I want to communicate only a single message to you. Since I am working for children with cerebral palsy for the past 6-7 years, I would like to quote that most of the physiotherapists and all the other professionals mainly trying to correct the particular phenomenon. Okay, we may able to maintain the phenomenon, provide able to get some improvement in that event, but what we have to look into it, the other alternatives. So leave the cerebral palsy person, either it's a triplegic persons or diplegic persons or whatever with the persons. So alter the environment, alter the dress, what he is wearing, alter the chair, what he is sitting, alter the environment, what he is saying. Suppose if a child having a difficulty in swallowing, So fine, talk to the some professionals who is expert in the food and food industries, and for the people with the ENT specialists. So try to identify the foods which will be useful for them for eat. In the same way, contact with the many of the textile people, textile designers. Ask the person to design a easier dress for the people of the children with multiple disabilities or cerebral palsy or something. So we may not be able to correct the disability, but we are providing some alterations in the dresses, in the wheelchairs. There are a lot of technology people are there, a lot of engineers are there in our field, in our India. So communicate the needs, what type of the devices is needed, what is your exact needs. So the main role of the physiotherapist, what I'm saying that we want to communicate the need to the different stakeholders, like software engineers, like engineers, wheelchair designers, for accessing, for modification of the vehicles. So a lot of manufacturing companies are there. Provide the information, communicate the difficulties, communicate the need. So they will come with the better designs. For example, I'm seeing one Parkinson's patient. Okay, so his knee is too much in bended positions. I told that his son is working in a BHEL Trichy. So I told his son I want to stretch his knees in a straightened positions. The next day he came along with a small pulley. So along with a small weight. So we place the pulley, triangle shaped pulley under the knee, and we gradually stretch the legs. So only I communicated the idea, but he came along with very good designs. So that's what I'm expecting you use that. So not only our role is to provide the physiotherapy measures to the concerned child. So our measure is to link the stakeholders, link the engineers, link the designers, link the various stakeholders who are all necessary for providing the rehabilitations. So adopting the environment, adopting the clothes, adopting the circumstances will helps to enhance this. There are a lot of devices that are available for visually impaired people. A lot of research is needed to bring down the cost. Very few devices are available for persons with cerebral palsy or for multiple disabilities. Our focus is to tie up with any of the IT institutions like IIT, so to develop much more devices. So thank you for the patient listening. So and thank you for the JSS College of Physiotherapy and Kavita Madam for providing the wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
For some reason, Prashant sir audio is not working.
Okay.
We have two questions in question answer session. If you are ready, we'll take that question.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
The first question is, sir, how can we use physiotherapy particularly in CP, and is it easily available, and is it possible to use in cortical blindness? I think they were talking about the Hello, sir. Sorry for the disturbances.
Yes,
Okay. So I think they were asking about your specialty, how it can be used for CP. Okay. And is it easily available, and is it possible to use in cortical blindness?
So two are different areas. So cerebral palsy is a different area. So we have to provide some different set of therapeutic procedures for that one. Especially in the blindness, not much more physiotherapy is not required, sir. As like I quoted, a few exercises like spinal rotations, providing some alternative arm movements. In the same way, some gait providing training in the gait patterns. So relaxing neck muscle. And while we are teaching the adapted physical education.
Okay, so there is one more question over here, sir.
Exercises we will provide. Yes, sir. What is
Sorry
next
for the
one?
disturbances, sir. There is overlaying. Please continue, sir.
So that's what there are different set of procedures are there. For cerebral palsy, it's a completely different set of exercise patterns are required. In children with blindness, few areas is like for providing exercises for alternative arm swing, so spinal rotation exercises, and the same way providing some exercises for gait pattern alterations while they are doing the playing activities, some strengthening exercises and balance and coordination exercises, so some aerobic exercises. These are all the areas we have to concentrate on children with blindness.
Yeah, sir, there is one more question.
Yes.
An attendee's name Mansoor Rahman. The question is, what are the strategies and principles has been used and how adaptation has been done for visually impaired, particularly in sports?
So that's what I highlighted. So in cricket, instead of overarm throwing, they're using the underarm throwing. Instead of ordinary ball, they're using the audio sound ball or audio ball. Okay. So there are some combination of players are there. So few people are in low vision and few people are having total blindness. So some rules and regulations is also are adapted. There are a lot of adaptations are there in each and every games. So in chess, in chessboard, the second method they are using. And the same way in the coins, identify the black coin as well as white coin. In top of the black coin or white coin, some small projection is there that helps to identify the coins. So like that, providing some adaptations. So you see the Ludo and Snake and Ladder. So the dice is modified accordingly. As like we are using the dice, the dice is little bit adapted for easy accessibility. So providing some adaptations in the play materials, providing some adaptations in the playing methods, some rules and regulations, they may be able to perform well.
Thank you, sir. It was a good presentation. My concern is on what are all the strategies and principles, how the adaptation has been, because in your presentation you have said about the you adapt some games, cricket, sports, everything. If it is other kind of disabilities, it is fine how to adapt, because if they cannot stand and play, they will sit and play, those kind of adaptations. When you talk about the sports and exercises, you told some cricket they play, those kind of adaptations, how it is possible for, because for visually impaired children, how you have did for visually impaired children, and what are all the strategies or any principles behind it, because some guidelines are there, because in Indian scenario we don't have that much guidelines particularly, but in Western scenario is there and we adapt usually. Is there any particular guidelines, organizational guidelines have you used, or and second thing is how you have adapted this games particularly for this visual impaired children?
So one thing, there are a lot of organizations are available in India for dealing with the sports of persons with visual impairment. So blind cricket associations, as well as many games are there, and the Paralympics committee is there. So there are many organizations are there. So there are set of rules are there. So there are some guidelines for each and every games are there. So like hockey or some Kho-Kho, what is the rules and regulations? For cricket, what is the rules and regulations are there. What is the strategy in the sense? Providing some, that's what I told, modifying the equipments, modifying the rules and regulations, providing the training in a tactile or audio format, providing the instructions in the audio format. So these are all the ways to adopt the games. So that is the one area. The second question, what is the thing you're asking?
Second thing, that's what, how to adapt and what strategies and principles have you used? That was my question.
Same thing only.
Okay. That first question was regarding that this in case of cortical blindness and these assistive devices, you told some devices you use for this visually impaired. Is it feasible for our Indian setup, and is it how far it is economically benefited for Indian scenario, particularly in rural or something like that? Those things.
Okay, most of the devices what I shown today, all the things are used by our Indian people only. Okay, so most of the few devices are a little bit costlier, but remaining the devices are in at an affordable cost only. So in order to enhance the people in the rural background or in the poor economic conditions, the government of India is facilitating the distribution of aids and appliances through the ADIP scheme. So under the scheme, who have the income limit below 15,000 rupees per month to 20,000 rupees per month. So for those people, we are providing this type of assistive devices. It's not a very high cost assistive devices. It's the average level, the basic needed assistive devices we are providing to the beneficiary at free of cost only. So up to 12,000 rupees devices we are providing under the schemes. So still the research and development is needed in order to reduce the cost of the devices. So that I agree. Not for all the devices. Few devices are already at low cost only, at subsidized cost only, and few devices like the refreshable braille display or braille printers. So these are all very costly items. So R&D is required to reduce the device's cost.
Okay, sir. Sir, one more question. Because when we play this game, usually now our main goal is for making inclusive education. This is from you told that we can adapt many other alternatives. For example, CP Kid, will it not make the child mentally weak, or will the child not feel that he or she is different from others?
Yeah, exactly. So the main focus is that we are providing some specialized components. It is looking like again the segregations. Okay, when we are providing some inclusions, so it should be used by all the people. Okay, so if we are taking the chessboard, both the person may be able to play the games. So sighted persons also, as well as for persons with visual impairment also, sit together and play the games. So like that only few games or few devices are adopted. In the same way, we are taking about the barrier-free environment. If you are following the universal design norms, so the accessibility will be created to all the people. There is no separate segregation is there.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. We have got one more question from our YouTube side. Physiotherapists, we deal with function. What actually a physio role in child with visual impairment in terms of function and movement?
So that's what I already indicated that. No? So basic range of motion exercises, basic strengthening exercises while playing, before playing, basic stretching exercises, and providing some core stability exercises to the persons, and balance and coordination exercises. So these are all the basic exercises which helps for the children with visual impairment.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was a very detailed explanation about the visual rehabilitation. So we got to know in detail, sir, how exactly the facilities are available for all the persons with visual impairment, and especially the videos are very nicely and vividly covered, sir. And the questions are also very nicely answered. I think there are no more questions. One personal question from my side, sir. So I believe you are a physiotherapist. So what made you go into visual rehabilitation, sir?
So while I'm starting my career, I started to, while I'm doing my physiotherapy practices, while I'm doing my second semester onwards, I'm going to the Spastic Society of Tiruchirappalli and dealing with children with cerebral palsy. So that made me to work along with the children. So that created the interest and started working towards the children with the cerebral palsy.
Okay, so that was a passion for you to work with children with
after that, I love to work with those children. So then my whole career is turned towards the field of rehabilitation. So I started working for all the disabilities.
Okay. It was very nice talking with you, sir. It was very useful presentation. We got to know so many things happening in the field of visual rehabilitation. I think we don't have any more questions. So on behalf of JSS College of Physiotherapy, I take this opportunity to thank you for sparing your precious time and giving very good information about visual rehabilitation. And I also thank all the participants who were online and made this session very useful. So once again, thank you one and all. Thank you.
On behalf of the NIEPVD Regional Center, on behalf of myself, I thank the Dr. Kavita Madam and the whole organizing team for providing this opportunity to share my thoughts and ideas to the whole community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You will speak now?
No, done.